So in section 4.5 here, we look at negative exponents and the reciprocals. And the rule that I always try and remember is basically as follows. With negative exponents, you have to remember to flip the base fraction and change the exponent sign to positive. And that'll make sense in a second here. So we have two rules that we have to remember. First of which is x to the power of negative n can be rewritten and should be rewritten as 1 over x to the power of n. And the reason we need these two rules, the second rule is 1 over x to the power of negative n is actually equal to x to the power of n. The reason we need these is that we can never leave any answers with exponents that have negative exponents. It's like reducing fractions. If you ever have a fractional answer, you can never have an unreduced fraction as an answer. So here, we can never leave answers with negative exponents. So we always have to change them to positive. And you'll notice that our end result here, both of these are positive. Okay? So it's a rule that you have to remember. Now, let me show you how these rules come about. And I'll start with the first one. I'll start with x to the negative n is equal to 1 over x to the end. Or to the n, not the end. X to the negative n. I gotta make this bigger here. X to the negative n. First thing we need to do is we need to make that x, that base, into a fraction. So I can take any number and make it a fraction by placing it over 1. And I put it in a bracket just to separate it, just so that we can see it. So this is to the power of negative n. Now the rule is for negative exponents, you flip this fraction. So I have to flip this fraction upside down. So now it becomes 1 over x. But my exponent value changes to positive. And then if you remember from your exponent rules from grade 9, this exponent gets placed on both the numerator and the denominator by multiplication. So this becomes 1 to the power of n over x to the power of n. And 1 to the power of anything is actually just 1, so we never write the n. It's just, x to the n. So you can see how we worked from here, x to the negative n, through to 1 over x to the n, just like the rule here, down below, specifies. Okay? I'll work the second one through with you as well, and that is, I'll just put a divider here, 1 over x to the minus n. 1 over x to the negative n would be the same as 1 over, so the original 1 over, and then change this base to an exponent, x over 1 to the power of negative n. I flip that fraction, 1 over x. Now my exponent is positive. Negative sign disappears, which is now just 1 over 1 to the power of n over x to the power of n, which again is just equal to 1 divided by 1 over x to the n. And if you remember how to divide fractions, I'll give you 10 seconds or so to think about that. How do you divide fractions? Do 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 do. Dividing fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So this actually becomes 1 times the reciprocal, x over n over 1 of this fraction, so the reciprocal of this fraction. And again, I can take any number and put it over 1 to make it a fraction. When I multiply fractions, so now I have 1 over 1 times x to the n over 1. When I multiply fractions, I multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom. This gives me x to the n over 1, which is just x to the n. So you can see now again how we got to here from way over here, just like the rule specifies right here. So that's just an explanation of the rules. Now this little addition, x cannot equal 0. This extra addition has to be there because x here actually can't equal 0. If that does equal 0, then we're going to have 1 over 0, and we can't divide by 0 because that gives us undefined. So we have to specify that if we are using these rules, well then x can't equal 0. That's the only reason why that's written there. Okay. So if you think you can have a grasp of those rules, take a stab at the examples A, B, C, D, and E. Otherwise, in my next video, I'm going to come back and do those examples. So take a minute or two, see if you can muddle your way through some of them.